pressed it. Good morning.
Good morning, all.
It's a
How's
beautiful
everyone
day.
doing today?
We're good.
We're good. And we got Jonathan Griffith here. And we're talking about the master meal for all of us. Jonathan, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. Yeah, I've managed to well, basically my family went away on holiday. They've messed around with the internet settings. I managed to hook up my laptop to my phone, which is connected to some external port somewhere. So I'm glad to be here and I've made it, which is the most important thing. And it's very hot today in the UK. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's 27 degrees Celsius or more, which for us is like, don't move or do anything. Just sit in a freezer, basically. So yeah, all good other than that.
All good. And do we have any special announcements today, Alia? Do we have any?
Well, I mean, in a couple days, there's the meetup in Albany, and everybody's invited. We got space for a couple more if you want to come. Barbecue at CNY Fertility, hang out with Dr. Kilton, members of the Kilton Mighty Tribe, and some CNY Fertility staff. Come meet some CNY Fertility staff. I've got some awesome coaches that want to coach you and want to have a conversation with you, and they're always available. So if you are interested in a conversation, what to do next, please feel free to sign up for a call. You know, I had a video, but I was trying to do a different video. So I wanted to do an education video, but I'm trying to see which one I like the best.
Well, give us a short video. We'll get started and we'll get Jonathan talk about his journey.
Yeah. It's just taking a second.
All right.
Yeah, the fertility stuff's new. I'm kind of predicting over the next few years as the carnivore space grows online that you'll get a slightly younger demographic. So rather than like the typical 50, 60 plus, we're going to get more 20, 30-year-olds that are more inclined into looking into fertility and not just the health side of it, you know, the actual recreation, the human side of it, you know.
How young are you, Jonathan?
I'm 30 years young.
And I'm 70.
I've lived a few lifetimes, probably like you, so yeah.
I'm 70, you're 30, and we're all young, mind and body. And how long have you been carnivore?
6.5 years at this point, so
awesome.
A little while. Yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna continue with Jonathan. This thing is not popping up like I wanted.
All right.
Let's go.
Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you suffered from, why you went carnivore, and the benefits you've seen.
Sure. So what I've suffered from. So I've had quite large or significant health diagnoses, for what it's worth, over my whole lifetime. And I've not really had a gap where it's been like, oh, you're this, diagnosis XYZ, then nothing's gone wrong. I guess you could say the main thing really was the autism side of it. So I was born with autism, so that's something you can sort of point out. It's a certain cognitive alignment that makes some of us a little bit different to others. I suffered a lot with things like social anxiety, depression, the feeling of being quite outcast, having a different way of thinking. Perhaps even in a sort of very primary setting when I was kindergarten or year one or whatever we call it over here, reception year. I was played with toys differently, so I'd have a certain way of stacking things, a certain way of analysing and organising things. My attention to detail was a bit different of people's, but then I'd miss the most pertinent thing. So that kind of obviously went through my life. Went to university, got my degree in human nutrition, and I noticed that there's some deficits I had socially which I never really addressed, never thought to address. During my sort of younger years, my parents got divorced from about the age of maybe 11 till however long divorce lasts nowadays. So things got thrown in the side a bit. So my own health journey was very much self-advocated. So I sought out my own diagnosis of autism. Anyway, I ended up working with my degree in a vegan health food shop of all things. And I wasn't vegan at any point in my life. It wasn't something I really promoted, but it is a way of stepping myself into the industry. So when we go to a health food store now, as I'm sure you know, Elara and Dr. Kiltz, it's very much based around like plant-based, healthy fiber, plant proteins, vegetables, all this sort of stuff. But what we know now, this is for our tribe, I guess you could say, our way of eating is that it's not the reality that we live in. It's not the complete truth. There's not much truth at all, if I'm honest. Anyway, so I saw a lot of people around me when I was working in the vegan shop, spending loads of money on supplements and foods and expensive stuff, which I was like, why are you paying so much money for dirt? I didn't really get it, but people did, and they came back and they kept buying it, and they never looked or appeared or symptomatically changed. So that told me there's something wrong with this. And from that point onwards, basically, I've had various diagnoses. I've had glandular fever twice, mononucleosis, HSV1, which is very hard to manage from a diet with carbohydrates in it at all. Chronic fatigue syndrome, which I was diagnosed when I was 14. I suspect that coincides or overlaps with other symptoms I have. So although I might have varying different things like this, I think a lot of it is based around one or two main sort of symptomatic effects I kind of have. Then the next thing was I had a failed spine fusion surgery about 3 years ago. And that was basically my last resort for the pain that I was in. So I was struggling to stand up at work. I was having to reduce my hours. My income was severely limited. And at that point, I was doing all the supplements. I did my degree, but I was still doing not what you call a carnivore way of eating or animal food based way of eating, but it still had plants in it. And I know you say, Dr. Kiltz, what is the problem? You always allude it comes down to plants, the vast majority of things in terms of health problems. I got rid of that back in 2020. For about 2 years prior to that, I was following Bark-K. So I guess you could say I've been in the carnivore space, at least as a spectator, for about 8.5, 9 years, maybe. Lots of things have come and go, and I kind of worked out my own way of doing things, my own way of approaching things. And now I'm a carnivore coach. Work with athletes all over the world. I've got some nearly professional athletes in competitive bodybuilding, which is quite a feat because people will say, you need carbs to build muscle, but apparently not. Right now, I am still a competitive bodybuilder. This will probably be my last year of competing, just because the toll on my body of a recent diagnosis, which was from complex regional pain syndrome, which is a multifaceted condition. It's not a disease, like you can't pick it up, it's not bloodborne. It's more of a case of something happens to you, some kind of traumatic experience, event, injury, scar, surgery, whatever it is. Then your body gets basically stuck into a cyclical loop of pain. So where you might have you might burn your skin gets a bit red, you get a bit scarred, your dry skin falls off, you build a bit of a callus, your skin might tan up a bit, things like that. With me, it scabs over, but it never actually heals. So it's not something you can supplement, out diet, out stem cell, out. It's a multifaceted disorder, like a condition. Anyway, so I have, despite all this, still managed to compete at a national level against non-handicapped competitors in bodybuilding. I'm still able to coach people all around the globe. I'm still able to connect with like-minded people like yourself. And I would say a lot of the benefit from the carnivore, outside of the obvious, omission of plant antinutrients, the high nutrient density of the diet, the mental fog reduction, the gut improvement, things like that. A lot of benefit I've had just is through having a community, a sense of tribe, a sense of belonging. And so I'm able to share ideas, new things which I find out, and learn new things from other people that they find out. I know, Dr. Kiltz, you talk a lot about the glycocalyx, which is completely news to me. I wasn't taught much about that, if anything. Then I'm able to bring out information myself. So the butter before bed thing, that was my idea. Lamb having more omega-3 than beef. That's something I looked into because I was curious. A lot of the stuff I've extrapolated myself, but I made a recent video on dairy, and it turns out the casein morphine content, the opioid-like substances, is not a significant impact in terms of the addictive properties of dairy. It's simply the fact that dairy is nice, so it just happens to be a high palatable food. So I've looked at things from all angles, and I've been in and out of the game, sort of trying to find out what the best practice is for most people, in terms of like my clients, in terms of body composition. I can outline, like I'm sure you can, do this sort of thing, you'll generally be okay. I like to work with the more finer tuned people that have tried everything and now they want to get to the next level in their body composition goals, sports performance, any sort of enhancement, libido, anything like that they might sort of want to draw improvement on. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. So yeah, I'm still here.
What do you think is the most and simplest part of this story of carnivore?
Just eat meat.
Just eat meat, right?
Yeah, and a few other extras if you like them. Yeah.
You know, the science is fun and interesting, but is it required in order to just eat meat?
It does the job, doesn't it? I think. I mean, people are scared to try it. You know, like my kickback being a physical entity in any room I go to is how to do it, how is it getting away with it, and it's always the combat is always like, yeah, but imagine if you did this or you tried this. I'm like, I've tried it all. This is where I've landed. And people often criticize it, but not actually try it themselves. So, I mean, even I was daft enough to try the vegetarian diet for 4 days before. I crashed, banged, and fell into a ditch doing it, and it was horrible. So that was that. Then I obviously went full circle, went carnivore, and yeah, within like days, I was like, well, I feel well better. Why don't I just do this anyway? There's no negative response. I'm not getting this massive like drop off that other people seem to get. So
yeah, how many people are you finding or those that are newcomers in your community, in your conversation, are you hearing similar stories like, okay, this is hard to believe, but I did it, and wow?
yeah, I've had a number of those. Even with like the most seemingly meaningless or insignificant change or intervention. For some people, it's a case of, you know, splitting up their meals from 1 to 2. Some people, it's having meals in the morning rather than night time. Sometimes it's adding in a intermittent fasting period. Something which just lets people get to a diet and be adherent and consistent is the key. So all the other stuff is all fluff. But I think a lot of the time people put the cart before the horse, and they look for all these little micro hacks, but really they just need to stick to the basics, run it out for as long as they can, feasibly, safely. And there's plenty of guidance online if people do get a bit confused along the way. And that seems to be what gets people to the end point. And I mean, it doesn't have to be 100% strict carnivore by any means. You know, we're all like our own stuff. I mean, I have plenty of vices, which I probably shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're looking at a carnivore diet, 80 to 90% plus animal foods, I think you're pretty much there. And some people obviously will have to go all the way there, but that's up to them. So.
Yeah. What does Jonathan eat every day and how much?
That's a brilliant question, Richard. Yeah, so I eat more than pretty much any carnivore I know other than Eddie Hall when he did it. Perhaps Rick as well, Charge Mo our friend. On an average day right now, I'm eating about 3 pounds of lean ground beef, about 6 to 8 eggs, about a couple of tablespoons of butter. I do whey protein powder just because my intake is so high, it can't be met through food. So I do supplement with animal protein powders, I guess. I do dairy as well, and I do fish most days if I can. So yeah, it's a very mixed animal food diet. Depending on what week you ask me, it might be a totally different thing. So it might be for a week straight, I'll do beef mince, what's in my freezer, what's cheap, what's available. The next week it might be half beef mince, half chicken thighs, you know. But if, you know, I couldn't really say exactly what I eat day to day. But on a contest prep right now, so I'm currently 2 weeks out from my regional qualifier for the British finals. I'm eating pretty much the same thing every day. I don't really change anything at all, to be honest. And if you want to know my macros at the highest in terms of like protein, carbs, and fats, 430 protein, that's grams, 30 grams of carbs through eggs, dairy, stuff like that. And fats, I think my highest is 250 grams. So I'm quite a large intake. And I don't recommend that 21. It's not advisory, it's not best practice. But for me, it's what I've landed at after 6.5 years doing it. So, you know, you might everyone else is completely different to me, but that's been my experience with what I eat and how much.
Do you think they added? I mean, you're young. You're 30. Did you say?
Yeah.
And you do a lot of bodybuilding, weights, and resistance work. So you're adding a lot of work to your day that requires more energy input. Would you say?
That's right. Yeah, it's a mass balance effect, really. So, we're looking at the mass of a person. A big person will need more food.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Go ahead, Alia.
Amanda's saying, what would be the safest way to strengthen muscle and tendons with hyper Ehlers-Danlos and rheumatoid arthritis with heads? My joints dislocate during some exercise. Any advice?
Yeah, I can advise quite closely on that, actually. So one of my clients, she's competing in a transformation challenge. Her name's Kimberly Russell, and she wouldn't mind me saying that because she is openly on social media and she encourages people to follow her and stuff. She's got Instagram. She's really changed her body. She went from effectively what you might say a pumpkin to like a fit, athletic, figure of 8 feminine body. She's currently working on reducing some loose skin that she's got from large weight loss. She did that all naturally, no medications, no stuff, just through diet and exercise, carnivore eating. She's been doing it for 5 years. In terms of strengthening the muscles with this kind of condition, I'll be looking at work by Dr. Doug McGuff. He basically sort of advocates for a workout routine which is low volume, you're able to recover from, but high intensity. When I say high intensity, I don't mean fast. So there's an important thing to define here, because when I say work out intensely, people start rushing weights. The intensity of your training is dependent on the difficulty it is to place resistance on your muscle fibers. So, for example, Eddie Hall, he did a 500 kg deadlift, and it took him about 7.5 seconds to lift it. To think 7.5 seconds, yet he's one of the biggest and strongest, most powerful humans on earth. So that tells me it's not about speed. Being strong isn't about speed. Although the muscle fibers have to contract faster to keep up with the load, you still have that tensile strength which has to be ignited through the function of moving the muscle. So, you can't do 1,000 dumbbell curls and get massive arms. You can get big arms, but you'll get bigger arms doing, say, a higher intensity to stimulate the higher threshold muscle fibers. So in this example, I personally start on 2 to 3 sessions per week as a general rule of thumb. The same workout each time, so that might be a full body workout. That means you can assess bit by bit, incrementally, by adding or lowering volume, how much you can recover from for that body part and that joint location. So it might look like a pull movement, a push movement, a squat or a leg press movement, and maybe a hip hinge like a deadlift, a glute drive, something like that. So try and get the basics, the compounds sorted out first, and that gives you the most bang for your buck in terms of overall muscle fiber strength and density. The way I'd personally advise lifting it is with something like a 5 to 10 second concentric, so lifting phase, and a 5 to 10 second eccentric. What I'd also suggest in your position, Amanda, is if you're doing something which is risky, so say you have the condition is very concentrated in your shoulders, perhaps that's an area you dislocate a lot in. So rather than doing a shoulder press and just going all the way up, you might just do it so you have a slight bend at the top. Therefore, the resistance is kept on the muscles and not just put directly through the joint and bones and tendons. So you'll still get the benefit from training that muscle group in that area, but not risk the point of overcompensating by that joint kind of arching over or dislocating sort of thing. And you might start with maybe 2 sets per exercise. So you're looking at, 30 sets per week maybe, and that's going to take you about 40 minutes a session. But say 40 minutes, 10 by 10 by 10 full body, with a slow cadence lifting profile. That's probably what I'd suggest in terms of exercise, but I couldn't say what exercises because I cannot see you. I cannot train you in the gym, so I can't micromanage to that sort of degree. But generally speaking, I'd stick mostly to actual resistance machines because your proprioception, your ability to control the muscle will be much greater, and there's less risk of injury. So that's what I do.
Yeah, Kimberly Russell talks about keeping a bend. That it keep a bend in your joint at all time. You know, it's sort of this. One is for many of us, isn't just the resistance work we do without the weights do much for our bodies. I mean, push-ups. I mean, even work where we're using our body is a good way to start and build lots of good resistance and muscle work for the majority of us that doesn't require heavy weights, which put a lot of stress and strain. Do you think that's good for us?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, the average person, I mean, you don't have to use a gym, some sort of weight bearing anything. So if you're, I don't know, say you're tight around the hips, rather than doing a full lunge, like across the, you know, on a horizontal plane, you might do a lunge, but reach your foot towards the second step of where you live, something like that. So you're limiting the range of motion, but you're still getting the benefit of some extra tension for your body. So that's if someone's really weak and they're just absolute beginner. But calisthenic work, so body weight workouts, are plenty good enough. You probably get, with the right exercise, probably 80% of the benefit you would if versus using an actual gym. So I don't really see many excuses for people not to exercise unless you're paraplegic, to be honest. So
what about walking and just getting out and moving? You know, is that a good way for people to get started?
That's the best way, if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to improving bone density and reducing osteoporosis and conditions like that, you only have to put a bit more load for your body to actually stimulate osteoblasts to develop bone tissue. It's not a massive amount. And when you're walking alone, I mean, say you're just walking just along, maybe 2, maybe 3 times your body weight, depending how fast you are, it's actually going through your spine. So you're stimulating your discs to, you know, lubricate themselves, the same order of joints. When you're running, jogging, for example, maybe 10 times. When you're sprinting, maybe 12 times. So there is an incremental effect the more intense or sort of fast your workout is. Of course, the risk of injury is a bit higher, so that's why you should phase it up. So for me personally, my joints are trash. My recovery is rubbish. I have to spend more time worrying about my recovery from the workouts than the actual workout itself. So often I have to take like a day off the gym sort of thing, or push it back, or I'll do one of my million health hacks, you know, so all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot. It just has to be more than what you're doing yesterday, I guess.
There's some simplicity to all of it. I mean, you're in the training, but also doing shows and things like that. Is that a lot? You know, you're competing in the muscle building world, which is sort of one area that kind of takes people from sitting around to working around.
Yeah, I mean, I find people that are absolute beginners can actually almost make the most exponential progress. They don't have the misconceptions of, you know, training 10 times a week. They don't have the I need to eat 6 meals a day thing. They're just starting from a point blank. So a lot of the times when I'm working with clients, I actually find the ones that you suspect will have the least amount of muscle, the ability to contract their muscles and stuff like that, the ability to make progress would be lower because they don't know. Because they don't know, they're open to being taught new things. So they have a blank slate effectively. So that's been my experience.
So pretty much everyone, anyone should begin to do some motion and some resistance work, even if it's lighter weights versus heavier weights. Is that what would you recommend that?
Yeah, I mean, something's better than nothing. There's always a debate about what's better, higher or, you know, more or less weight. There isn't a rule of thumb. I mean, they always talk about muscle fiber activation, things like that. The reality is, if you're trying to lift a weight, you can no longer move the weight at a speed that's, say, half what it was when you initially started a workout. That means you're pretty close to technical muscular failure. So that's the way I kind of look at it. The people I work with are trying to be precise as well. So a lot of the time they've got defined programs, they've got a strict way of lifting, they might have a different technique, they might have a different set of handles they have to use to adapt to their body. So I tend to work with very sort of refined kind of people, I guess you could say. Yeah, I mean, developing strength it's just an adaptation. You've got to do something you didn't do before. There's lots of ways to skin a cat. Personally, I tend to work around the idea of using seconds to time my sets. So that way I know if, for example, I've got, say my phone's here, I'm in the gym, it's on a plate or something on the floor, I don't know. I'll press start on it, I'll wait for a minute. On that minute hand, it'll go. So I'll start lifting the weight. I'll lift it under strict cadence, so maybe 10 seconds up, 10 seconds down. I'll keep going. And when that gets to, say, 60, 70 seconds, I think, oh, it's starting to slow down a bit now. Okay, I might have one more rep. I know that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to a point where I can no longer lift it safely anymore. So I know when that weight is no longer moving, the load's no longer moving, my muscles can no longer resist the weight. Therefore, the risk of injury becomes exponentially higher. The more
I'm sure he'll be back in a second. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, that was my internet. Yeah, so basically when you're lifting a weight, when you get to the point where you can still hold it safely, but you want to be able to rack it, put it back safely as well. But as a bodybuilder, my main concern is building muscle. So I'm going to push the limit a bit more than what most people do. But to get 95% of the benefit, yeah, I mean, just leave one rep in a tank and it's probably good enough, to be honest. So
even just
right.
weights at your desk at work. I mean, I work at a stand-up desk. I sometimes will sit, but mostly stand. And we're just too comfortable, I think. We're not giving our body even the ability, again, we talk about bend those knees, bend those arms, use the muscles, but I do a lot of balancing work where I'll just stand on one foot or something like that. And I think that's something that so many people have been sitting in a lounge chair for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Move.
You remind me of my dad in that sense. He's if we're at the local Aldi or Lidl, he'll be like on one leg doing like squats, holding onto the rail when we're doing like the checkout. Right. He does it naturally. He just does it naturally. He'll go on his tiptoes, or he'll lunge down randomly in the car park and do his shoes, but then he'll do the other side as well, just because it's just the one shoe. So
we got some more questions. Let's see. I clicked on that one, but we got some other ones. Richard, it would be interesting to know Jonathan's glucose levels are during and after weights.
Yeah, so baseline level before weights is usually about 4.5. Depends on time of day as well. Afterwards, it's usually about 6.5. So what happens is you'd think, oh, my body's burnt up glycogen, therefore why is my blood glucose going up? Well, it's an anticipatory mechanism by the body to allow energy to be produced from the liver, push into the bloodstream to be used. If all of a sudden I've done my 1 hour workout, whatever, then you might go for a run as well. So let's prime him for that just in case. But yeah, that's my blood glucose levels.
All right. Let's see. Jonathan, what is the best kind of exercise for bad hips?
I've got terrible hips. None of them. It depends on the pathology of the structural issues you might have. So some people might have bone spurs. They might have nerve impingement. Before saying you have bad hips, I know you're saying the pains in your hips. Is it referred pain? So I'll stress the idea of, from someone who's been there and done that, make sure you get the right diagnosis, the CT scans, X-rays, MRIs, whatever it is, to make sure that it's not something that which you could be making worse. In terms of bad hips, you're looking at some kind of abduction exercise. So maybe lie on your side, raise your leg up, like a V sort of thing. Adduction, so bringing these together. So you might get a basketball, sit there, squeeze your knees together, squeeze a basketball. That will develop some muscle in the inner thigh. You can also do some kind of hip raise. So, if you hang from a bar or you sit on the edge of your chair, bring your knees up towards your chest, sort of thing. That work your hip flexors a little bit. The other one is obviously the rear side, so that's going to be your glute. So you might do a hip thrust. So think when you used to be in school, maybe in gym class, you might lie on your back, bend your knees, and just raise your hips up towards the sky, sort of thing. So that's sort of the general home calisthenic things you can do. You can get more complicated than that, but I'd just stress not to do things which cause you a lot of pain. Start off maybe with a static movement. So rather than actually move the joint in and out, just test it out first, see if it gets really inflamed. So do the hold with the basketball, do the hold with the opening of the clamshell, do the hold with the hip thrust, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking at personally.
What's the question?
Dr. Kilch, do you use AI apps?
You did. Are you using apps in the medical practice?
Well, we have EMRs, but no, not. I mean, we certainly use AI to ask the questions of the content of a lot of the studies and medications and things, but but they're talking about using AI. We're looking at AI to grade embryos, but it's expensive technology to simply do what nature does. We're not capable of grading things very accurately, in my opinion, when it comes to science. We're very biased.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which embryo is good and bad. I say all of them are capable. Jonathan, you talked about autism spectrum. Do you think that a plant-centered diet might be a factor in affecting us to be less normal and more in the outer reaches?
The outer reaches. I wouldn't even say I'm in that reach. I'm in a different universe, my friend.
Well, okay,
yeah.
all right. Ben?
Yeah, I know what you're asking. Yeah, sure. So I looked into this, obviously. There aren't studies. I can't say there's a carnivore study which says this. I can say ketogenic diet studies can show improved energy function, improved mitochondrial activity in the brain. I can say a high ketone diet is better for inflammation related to the brain. I can say different cohorts in studies have been sort of looked at, I guess, and they found things like salicylates in particular are very bad for people with autistic spectrum disorder. They tend to have a lot of epigenetic markers, I guess you could say, that kind of suggest a lot of plant foods aren't helpful. Perhaps the MTHFR genetic gene mutation. So it means they might require, I don't know, more B2. And you get more B2 through a lot of animal foods, such as riboflavin. And that works higher up the pathway. So people often say, oh, you got the MTHFR gene, take methylated B12. Work higher up, I'd say. I'd look at the B2. That's clinically efficacious for restoring function of that genetic allele. Other than that, pretty much any plant anti-nutrient's going to ruin your guts. Intestinal permeability is very high. Sonia levels are always way off when it comes to people with autistic spectrum disorder. Taurine is very effective as well as supplement, which is in animal foods. Carnitine, creatine. There's loads. We could go through pages of them.
There was a study I found yesterday that is linking E. coli strains in youth to subsequent cancers in your 40s in your gut.
Wow.
Is this a surprise?
No.
At all?
No.
Because, and this is the simplicity, A plant-centric diet feeds the microbes in the gut very nicely, doesn't it?
Our gut microbiome is a big one.
The microbes are deadly for us.
Mhm.
A protein plant-centric diet proliferates more microbes in the gut, which damage the gut and damage every other cell of your body. Plus, fermentation in the gut makes alcohol. Is alcohol good for us?
The body's trying to get rid of it to such a degree, it actually tries to delete it first, of all things.
Well, does the body want those microbes in your bloodstream?
It's not going to help it out, I don't think, no.
No. And so might it be our plant-centric diet that is, and protein, by the way, because lean meat is fermentable.
Yeah.
Proteins
Yeah,
are
it's
fermentable items.
Yeah.
And so
butyric acids.
well, butyric acid is just another scientism, I call it. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We measure something and then we claim its benefits. But again, is it better to have microbes proliferate in your gut or none in your gut? Which is better?
Proliferate.
None. There's no good microbe. It's kind of like a good alligator.
Expand for me. Expand for me. I might have got my wires crossed, but expand for me what you mean. I'm sure you're right.
Well, I'm not sure I'm right, but why do we label microbes good or bad? But there's no microbe, no bacteria or virus that you want in your bloodstream, correct?
Yeah. It tries
So
to
the more they're in your gut, well, the gut is kind of like the outside world. And ultimately you want them to stay in the outside world, not into your body per se. The more plants you consume, the more microbes you feed.
Yeah.
So you want less microbes in your gut because the more you have, the more pathologic they become. And microbes eat plants and make alcohol, correct?
Yeah.
How many people understand autobrewery syndrome?
It's been too long for me.
Well, autobrewery means basically you're making beer.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Otto Berry. I was like, who's Otto Berry?
Otto brewery syndrome.
Auto brewery. Yeah. Sorry.
Auto brewery syndrome. And ultimately the microbes, the good bacteria, bad bacteria is like, which army do you want in your backyard? Right. So any of it can be good or bad at any time, but ultimately it's better not to have an army in your backyard because they're more likely to pull a trigger, send bombs one way or another. But ultimately, the microbes are the cause of most disease, along with the plants, which are highly allergenic, essentially, which then cause autism, depression, suicidality, criminality, psychosis, schizophrenia. Every disease we suffer from is secondary to a high plant microbial overgrowth.
Jennifer Edwards would like to know, how does E. coli get into the gut? Is it from plants?
Yep.
Nature's toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, think about plants. They grow in the soil. The microbes are in the soil. The microbes are in the plants. But in general, the animal works to keep the microbes out of the bloodstream. That's what the immune system is for. But our immune system is hyperactivated because of a very allergenic environment of the gut. I mean, basically, poop is highly infected, right?
Right.
And
I wouldn't
the
eat
more
that.
no, and that's why the gut has the highest immunologic capabilities, which it works to keep the microbes out of the bloodstream. And if you look around the world at the killers, Ebola, I mean, all the microbes and pneumonia and bladder infections and bowel infections, colitis, Crohn's, IBS are all inflammatory conditions, mostly secondary to microbial overgrowth. And that's why fasting 1 meal a day or less is one of the best things you could do. And if you add fat, fat suppresses the microbes and reduces the infections in the gut. That's why butter, did you say you eat butter, Jonathan?
Yeah, lots of butter.
And butter doesn't
My
mold.
favorite.
And it was interesting. I was talking to a couple yesterday in the office, and we were talking about butter.
Mm-hmm.
And many fake butters have a big thing that says butter,
Mm-hmm.
and a little thing that says tastes like.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you think
99% rapeseed oil, 1% salt.
Right
whatever
on.
it is, Yeah.
you think you're buying butter because it's a big thing that says butter, but it says taste like.
Yeah, read your labels, guys. We have this over here. So if I go online, we've got a supermarket called Tesco. I'm sure you might have been there. Type in Tesco, type in butter or egg or milk. First product, sponsored item, MYLK or almond milk or not egg or whatever. It's like, I want to find eggs in the egg section. Why would I be looking for the alternative? What's
Right.
It's
If you
ridiculous.
put the word butter or milk on something like almond, or is there such thing as almond milk?
It's water,
No.
really. It's just hot water poured over, blanched over almonds with a carrageenan thing and a soy lecithin emulsifying agent, salt, and a bit of sugar, whatever. It's
Almond
not
juice.
milk.
Juice.
Juice, yeah.
It's juice. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically lied to by so many entities that want to keep us over consuming, correct?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's all con. It's a big con.
Let's see, Jonathan. So does having more muscle make you more healthier?
I don't like that as a metric which people are using to predict longevity or long-term health outcomes. I think that strength is a better indicator. Being muscular for the sake of being muscular, okay, you have a bigger pot to potentially deal with, because like you've got more GLUT4 transporters, better insulin sensitivity, you have more muscle, so you can overspill your glycogen levels or eat more sugar. It doesn't mean that's healthy by default. That's like it's a detraction. So I think being strong, but when I say being strong, I don't mean deadlift all the way. I just mean strong enough to do your daily tasks. Dr. Kiltz has to do this. If it's not that, it's extra. It's toxic overburden. So information.
You got to be able to get up out of bed, off the floor, do the daily work of life. And I think that's what Jonathan is saying, strength.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be the big muscle person, but you have to use your muscles. And interesting, this is where I think obesity is maligned where it should not be. If an obese person simply goes carnivore in 1 week, they will clear up so much inflammation, they will feel better. And wouldn't you say, Jonathan, that even whatever your size is, you can get to the gym and begin to do the work, and in a week, you'll already feel better?
You'll feel better because you're not, I mean, say you're just chronically overeating and doing any diet. If you create a bit of a buffer in your muscle cells to tolerate a bit more sugar, which is going to be pro-inflammatory, then yeah, you're going to feel better anyway, irrespective of what your diet following. It's not it doesn't cancel out a good diet. I mean, a good diet, I would say, is probably more important. Yeah, I'd certainly agree.
And so everyone can do some body building, muscle building, strengthening work. Is that right?
Everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, but not everyone wants to look like one all the time.
And we don't need to, do we?
Don't need to either.
Yeah. I mean, can we sit in a chair and do some simple resistant work to begin the journey to feeling better?
Yeah, I certainly think so.
What
Chair
is your
aerobics.
what is your site that people can find you on?
Carnivore-muscle.com. I do coaching, consultations, diet plans. I've got loads of ebooks. Pretty much a one-stop shop, I guess you could say. So yeah.
Susie would like to know if ADHD is considered to be on the spectrum.
I think the spectrum isn't individual to just neurodiverse people. I think we're all on the spectrum.
We're
This
all
means
on the
our
spectrum,
colours show
right?
differently.
Are you on the spectrum? Well, you're not if you're not born or dead, right?
Yeah.
But whatever that spectrum is that what, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's we all have our different idiosyncrasies and things which we learn, we develop, we're born with. We can adapt some of it, but that's what makes us unique. If we're all the same, it's not much fun. I mean, I'm very effective at what I do because my skill set, my natural innate abilities are good at that. Now, ask me to change a light bulb, no chance. Ask me to drive a car, I'll ram it around the next door neighbor's window. You know, I'm not good at those things. Leave me to a task I'm way, like I can excel at it, but with things, lots of distractions, I'm no good. So we've all got different strengths.
Yeah. And we're all, and that's the beauty. Judge not lest you be judged, or judge with love. I mean, we're all perfect in the eyes of God, no matter who you are. And we're not all working to be at some, like we should all be Jonathan. We should all be, whoever you are, be you, and have joy of that journey, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't do what I do. I just do it because I'll let you guys into a bit of an insider info, because you think, why would this guy with these seemingly terrible conditions go through bodybuilding, put his body through that? It's because, one, I love to do it. Two, it gives me a sense of pacing, sense of self-control, keeps me on track with my health so I can monitor that alongside it. Gives me a sense of belonging. I get a pain inhibition effect when I'm training, but also because right now I'm not in a position where I could say my condition will get any better. It's more likely to get worse, but I do have some control about what rate of degradation I get. So in my eyes, if I can achieve what I want to achieve, at least then when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old, maybe stuck in a chair, whatever it happens to be, I can look back and think that this guy actually did it. He actually wrote his name and stamped it. I took receipts, paid my bills, put in the work, paid my dues, and I get to be rewarded at some point. And it's important to have passion. I think a lot of people don't have passion. And doesn't mean you have to be bodybuilding. If you get up the stairs a bit quicker than you did the day before, brilliant. It means you could spend more time with your missus. That's what I said.
Should we get some more of these?
Yeah, we're getting some really fun ones.
Let's go right down the list, Alia.
Okay,
Boom,
let's
boom,
see.
boom. Boom, boom, boom.
What exercises do you recommend for seniors to begin to move more?
Karen in kilts.
Follow this, gentleman.
I just start dancing.
Dancing's good. Walking the dog, getting up and down the stairs. Wall sits, push-ups against the wall if you can't do them. You can do like a towel row. So you can literally get a towel around like a beam or something. Just pull it towards you. That'll work your upper back muscles. There's a million things you can do, to be honest. So.
Keep going.
I want to see a kilts inspired workout one day.
Oh, good. Cool accent, Jonathan. So how much do you deadlift?
That's a very cruel question to someone that's got a failed spine. I can do, the most I've ever done is 250 kilograms for 2 repetitions or perfect form.
Next.
So 570 pounds, something like that.
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts about coffee?
Some like it, some don't. Most don't really care if they have it or not. I think it can be helpful for some people in acute situations. but I think it does bypass the body's natural signaling responses to the symptoms that they present. Meaning, if you're tired, people say, I'm tired, I'm going to have a coffee, I'm going to have an energy drink. Really, your body's trying to tell you, slow down because something is too high, too much. So I'll be more inclined to suggest people from a best practice nutritionist standpoint to follow your body's intuition and signals. But I understand sometimes you might have to get up for work early, have a cup of coffee. It might not break the bank. It can deplete some levels of B vitamins, and you can almost chelate magnesium to some degree in the body. To a massive degree, maybe not, but I'd just be mindful of it if you are dealing with any kind of issues which are high stress, which you might be depleting more vitamins and minerals than what you would otherwise.
It's called life.
Mm.
High stress life.
That's it.
Dead people have no stress. Stress is good. And resistance work, right?
Yeah.
Are microbes the same as microbiomes?
Microbes the same as the microbiome is, I guess, the petri dish, and the microbes are the things that go in it. That's my rudimentary understanding. Is that right?
It just, I mean, you have to have microbes to have a microbiome, and so it's massive microbes or the individual microbes.
Mm.
This is for Dr. Kiltz. You were into arts prior to becoming a doctor. Are you still tapping into this creative side of you?
I still do my painting, pottery, poetry, music, yickety yak, fly airplanes, all those things.
Nice. Let's see. Is there a pattern or order that happens with healing the body with carnivore?
I'd assume the outside in, no, the inside out sometimes. But usually, I mean, I think if you think acutely what your diet was before, say you're eating 3 kilos of junk food a day, carnivore diet, getting rid of carbs, you're reducing the mass, the fibrous, vegetable, fruit stuff. The mass of food of your diet will be less the next week. Less impact on your gut, your digestive system will be running more efficiently. That'd be the first thought in my mind. The other acute stuff is background stuff, which can take time, depending on medication, how unhealthy you are. Things like mitochondrial efficiency, mitogenesis, autophagy, ketogenesis, I don't know, all these things might pick up over time more gradually. It does depend how these things come across. I mean, if you're someone that's recently been getting joint pain, well, that might be the first thing to get better because it's a recent problem. But what do you think, Dr. Kiltz? What's been your experience?
Well, the biggest thing about carnivore, it removes the plant toxins.
Hmm.
The plant toxins are our biggest problems, and fiber and the microbes. So I think the healing of carnivore removes the toxins. We're not nutrient deficient. All this, I think it's just a yickety yak. We're poisoned by plants and the microbes that come with it. Simple. And the alcohol made in the gut. So by going carnivore, the pattern is simple. You remove the toxins.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, next question. Jonathan, do you use sauna or cold plunge?
Yeah, I find the most benefit personally from the sauna. Stimulates nitric oxide production, improves blood flow to peripheral tissues. So if someone has neuropathy like me, my sensation, because I got buggered central nervous system basically, so my sensations are very odd. They don't match what might be normal for someone else. I notice I sleep better on it. Digestion's always better as well. I like to pair that with infrared or red light therapy. Cold plunge I like, but I think it is more reserved for people that are already in a position to do it. So if you've got compromised immune system, it's significant stress to the body, elevated heart rate, then yeah, maybe not. Maybe just add it in small intervals, but just maybe to start with a cold shower, then a cold plunge. Cold plunging is useful to about 11 minutes a week. I've found the cutoff for me is about 8 or 9 minutes per week, split between 3 sessions, ideally not on the same day you do resistance training. A lot of the benefit is actually emitted if you go from cold to hot. So just make sure when you do these sort of things, you finish on cold, because that's when the expedited mitochondrial benefits seem to happen, when you're actually heating your body's core temperature up through brown fat activation. I'm more of a fan for sauna personally. That's what I rate, but that's me.
Nice. Last question. Lions Danville podcast. Working out currently this morning. Listening to Jonathan. It's amping me. Keep going. My question is, why are you so awesome?
Standing on the shoulders of much greater men, and I've got 3 rules for life somewhere. So if you bear me a second, I'll just try and find them. But it's in like 3 seconds.
Do you have a favorite book?
Oh, I don't read books anymore. I read articles. I got 3. So this is 3 lessons for baby Jonathan. So if I get back in time, learn from others' mistakes, cast your own shadow in life, never walk in others, and the last one is work smarter, not harder, as the journey is just a means to the destination. My words of wisdom.
So what is do you have a favorite author or inspirational person that you've learned from or you follow?
I've had quite a few. My brother inspires me a lot. My girlfriend Jo inspires me a lot. My community inspires me. So I don't really have idols in the sense of I idolize this author, this celebrity, because sometimes when you meet these people, it might not match what you kind of perceive of them. You feel like you're leaving yourself in a position to be let down. But I mean, there's lots of people, Bart Kay, Dr. Sheafy, yourself, Harry Sopanos, people that have kind of been in a position where they've overcome things, they've surpassed challenges and made their own way in life, and often with strong opposition. I quite like that.
What's been your greatest challenge in life?
I would say finding the strength in community, and remember that is so basically on the 27th of March last year, I planned to end my life. I was in a position where I didn't have the support I needed, didn't have the help, and recently was diagnosed with the pain condition, and a lot of my prospects in life seemed bleak. And sometimes I do go through the same grieving process that a lot of people do when they've got an illness. Granted, mine isn't terminal. But that's kind of taught me, I've been put in this position by whatever greater being, whatever spiritual mojo stuff we want to say, to do something unique. Why else would I be put here? Just to suffer? It doesn't make sense. So my kind of idea of life is to find meaning of life now. And I could say that's where I'm drawing inspiration from now. The micro sort of objectives and goals I can meet. Coming on today, having all the nice feedback from people, the great questions I receive, and the spreading of information, I find that's really helpful. So yeah, I'm very much inclined to keep moving forward and trying to inspire other people and share things which are important to me, because things were very challenging at that point in my life. But now I'm in a slightly different position where I do have a much better social circle, a better support system, and hopefully I can pass forward anything that I do gain. So
very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Jonathan, it's really been a pleasure having you on today. And thank you to everyone for being here and sharing the message. Let's continue to follow Jonathan, learn from each other. Mind and the body are our temples, and we're sharing in a community around the globe to help us all be better. So
thanks very much, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.